all after the formal close today. So this afternoon session is going to start with another keynote. This is by Thomas Vikberg, Senior Specialist in E-Exams from the National Matriculation Examinations Board of Finland. And again, we're going to hear about a very large-scale implementation of e-exams, e-assessment, because obviously that's one of the things, the first question everyone always asks when we talk about online exams or digital assessment or something like that is, well, that's fine doing it for 30 or 40 students, but what happens when you do it for 10,000 or 20,000 or 40,000 or some number like that? So let's welcome Thomas, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I'm very honored to be here. The institution I represent is very honored for the invitation here. My name is Thomas Vikberg. I work for the Ylioppilastutkintolautakunta in Finnish, Studentexamensnämnden in Swedish, in English Matriculation Examination Board. I'm sorry I don't have a slide about where Finland is, but Gabby had a slide about where Austria is, so we are like 2,000 kilometers up north. So also from the other side of the planet. What I'm going to talk about today is our matriculation exam. This is a picture from the 70s. This could have been a couple of years ago. The same picture, maybe in color, and I'm going to do the cheap TV shop trick where the after is going to be in color. But this basically, many things are the same even if we do it digitally. So I mean, it's an individual test. It's done by students. It's done at the same time in all upper secondary schools in Finland, roughly 400. And it is supervised by teachers. And one exam takes 6 hours, and it's organized twice a year. So there is like 3 weeks of 9 days of exams. And you have to take, the minimum is 4 exams to get a grade. So what it looks like now is this. It's still an individual exam, but there's a lot of computers and a lot of wires going on. I'm sorry, this picture is fake. This is from a rehearsal because no outside people are allowed to be when the actual exam is. But it looks the same in the actual exam. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. What we have done to do this. Okay, now you maybe ask yourself, what is a guy coming from Finland, and you maybe heard about some success in PISA and some of the stories that go along the PISA story, and one of them is that we don't believe in standardized national testing at all, and it's true, we don't. We rarely do it in our system, or our educational system. We actually do it once, and the one place is the matriculation exam. So the Huffington Post almost got it right, but there is one exam that is national, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm not going to go into the details of the Finnish education system, but just that you know where we are. So we have first kindergarten, then when a pupil or a person becomes 7 years old, then we have basic education for 9 years. Then you can choose either upper secondary education or vocational. And around 50% of the population take either vocational or the academic upper secondary school. And at the end of upper secondary school, there is the matriculation examination. But even if you choose the vocational track, you can still participate in the matriculation examination. Of course, it's quite hard because the test is based on the curriculum of the upper secondary education, but it's still possible to participate. And why it's high stakes is because the grades that you get from the matriculation examination can be used when you apply for university. And universities in Finland are very independent, so they can choose how they use it, but all of them use it in some way. According to law, the purpose of the matriculation examination is to measure if students have acquired the knowledge and skills of upper secondary curriculum and objectives of maturity for upper secondary education. So that is what's the intent of the whole matriculation examination. Now, why going digital? There could be many reasons for it. Save money, make things easier. Those have not been the reasons why we have got digital. Also, you heard there are reasons to go digital, like it would increase the learning outcomes and so forth. But for us, it hasn't been the learning outcomes. It's been for our education system to keep it relevant and in line with the rest of society. And so I'll give you a couple of charts. So when the decisions about making this exam or this examination digital was in the beginning of this decade, I didn't work at the Matriculation Examination Board, but I worked at the Ministry of Education and Culture with digitalization of education. And what the talking was then about was there were different measurements of Finnish education and the use of ICT in Finnish education, and we did very poorly. And some of those indicators and measures are very, very bad. So I mean, it was good that we did in some of them poorly, like does the school have a website and things like this. But for me personally, what I thought was one of the most expressive measurement was in the OECD TALIS report in 2013 about teachers' use of ICT for students' projects or classwork, which I think is quite a good indicator, because it means that the teacher finds some value in using the ICT tool. And if you look at Australia, you were doing quite well. I'm sorry, there you're on the 4th. And Finland was only Japan had less ICT in this measurement. And then if you look at another chart, which was a survey about how much adults use computer at work. And this was in 2012. Now we are the 3rd, and you are still 6th. So I mean, you were quite in line what the tools that you use in education and the tools that you use at work. But for us, the gap was very big. So there was a political decision that using ICT in the matriculation examination became an initiative in the government program of 2011. So making the exam digital was a political decision, not something that we had made or so, but of course there had been working groups and things like this before it, but it's the government who decided this. And one of the key players who were backing this was the student union, which is a fairly important political player when it comes to upper secondary education. It's quite powerful, but the most powerful being the trade union of education in Finland, the teachers union, and they also backed this, provided that the teachers get in-service training and proper tools. And the matriculation examination, we didn't oppose it. At least in public, but they're like this was recorded. Yes. Yeah. No, but the initiative came very high up. But what the government program says, there is like one line in the government program that says that ICT should be gradually introduced into the matriculation examination. So that was just the decision, and then it came down to us to make a decision about the timetable of the project and what we meant by having a digital matriculation examination. What are the specifications that we want to have there? So a couple of years from the initial decision. First, the timetable looks like this. I know that autumn for us means spring for you, so try to read it that way. So for me now it's autumn, yes. So we started, the first exams became digital in autumn 2016, so spring for you. There were geography, philosophy, and German. And now we have finished this part, and now the last pen and paper exams that we had this spring was mathematics. And now the next, in a couple of months, also that will be digital. And here you see also all the exams that we have. In total, we have 36 different exams because the language and mathematics, for example, have 2 levels of exam. The specification, there were many specifications, but I selected maybe the 3 most important. The board wanted that the computers that are used in the examination contain similar programs, many similar programs. And the reason is that, and the students must have access to the same programs. You can't like buy better programs into your exam. But the reason why we want to have many similar programs is that it shouldn't be so that the matriculation examination dictates what happens in upper secondary schools. But it should be the other way around, that the programs that are used in upper secondary education should be available in the exam. So for example, when we talk about mathematics, we have actually 5 different calculators, like advanced calculators. So, and if there comes on a market something that's used in our schools, then we try to put more. And so the idea is to leave the pedagogical freedom for teachers to choose their tools, which is a very sacred thing in Finnish education. Then we want to use like real software, and we don't want to do specific features in our exam environment. So we don't have, for example, a painting feature in our environment, but we have various painting software that the student can use and then use that to generate an answer. Then this must be, the system must be such that we can organize in all our schools in various locations these tests. And then we can't require that the school or the place where it's held has very ICT knowledge people. So it must be like really simple to put up. We have, for example, we organize exams in prisons where inmates do upper secondary education and graduate. We have hospitals where children who are very sick take the exam and so forth. There are always untypical situations going on. We have, for example, this spring, we had 3 long power shortages in one of the places, and the system must be so that it copes with these situations, and regular people can use it there. And on an individual level, we have now this spring we had 70,000 exams taken, so there will always be computers that break and networks that fail and things like this. So it has to be like very easily fail-safe. And this is also very important when we talk about digital exams. And answers cannot get lost. Not during the exam, not after the exam, which is a little bit has been a little bit a problem sometimes with the paper exams. For example, half a year ago we had when there was still paper exams in Russian language. There were burglars in one school who burnt the safe where they kept the Russian language papers, and those were lost forever. So, but we don't want, we need to, all the answers need to be properly backed up. And this is one particular part of like as an ICT project, where you usually have like, it's okay if it like 80% goes right, and then the 20% is just sorry, but for us 99% is not enough. So we go very far to get every answer into our systems, and so far we have managed. So what happens after the decision about the timetable and the specifications happen is that we started a roadshow. And the idea was that if you have any event where there are teachers, you can call us to come there and explain what we are going to do. And we had 2 people just doing this job, touring Finland with a lot of USB sticks and computers and networks. And what we wanted for the teachers to be convinced about was that you can use an ordinary USB stick, and when you boot from it your computer, it turns into another type of computer. It feels like magic, but when you do it yourself and you see it yourself, then it becomes reality. And the other part was that it's fairly simple to make a wired network, because we need a wired network in our system, and just to people who have never made a wired network might feel that it's difficult, but it's simple. You just need to know the plug where to put the computer. We set out a new communication strategy. We started the image of the matriculation examination board. It's like the ivory tower of ivory towers. It was like the most frightening almost of government agencies, because it was like judging people, and it was always correct. So we needed a new approach to this, because this was not like the message that we wanted to bring to the field. So we started to be active on social media. We put out like a different website for this project, which was more like the layout was much more not ivory tower or like government agency type. And then we needed a development team, and we there was a, what do you call it when you put out like a public offering, and Yeah, tender, yeah. And we hired a company to work with us to deliver the exam environment, but we didn't like specify what kind of environment we want. But we just hired the people, and I sit with them with my colleague in the same room, and we daily change what we want to do next, and we daily discuss what's going to be developed next. So it's been very an agile project in developing the softwares needed. The team immediately found out when they came that we must have some sort of feedback mechanism when we do the exam environment. Because, I mean, the feedback loop that we have if you only use the matriculation examination is twice a year. And then it's already should like be working. So we needed something that we get constant feedback from. So their idea was to give up the same environment, but so that teachers can use them in their course exams. So we launched the Abitti course exam system, which is for the students, it's exactly the same as in the matriculation exam. What the computer looks like, what the exams look like there. How you make the exams is a little bit different than what we do at the office, and then assessment is a little bit different than what we do in the actual thing. But the like how you must prepare the students and was solved by this, and this actually changed the game completely. And because now teachers had direct access to the exam environment, and we found out that we didn't need any more like a road show to communicate with teachers about new features and what new programs there are in the system. We just made a new version of the Abitti environment, and they would use it in their next course exam, and they would tell us, and they really did start to tell us. The feedback started to pour in very heavily. There started to be Facebook groups, there started to be everything, and we tried to be as active as possible on these channels. What we soon realized is that we need some sort of help desk for this, because there were like so much coming in. So we just took some public servants from our office and they volunteered, but said that you are the help desk, and now these are the people who know the best the whole exam environment. But it's also what we then found out is that this is a perfect way to teach, to also for them to practice, because now they practice all the time about answering all the difficult questions about things that don't work and so forth. And those are the same questions that occur on the real days. So now we have like it's not only, it's a testing or a practice environment for our students, for our schools, and for ourselves. So by spring 2016, when the first exam started, we had like a press conference telling how well we have done and how much we've practiced, and it was really nice that we could tell that Abitti had been used 15,000 times. So this is like, we have really, really practiced hard. I have to say that we have now practiced so much, 2.5 million times, that it's almost too much. It's a little bit come the de facto way of organizing exams in upper secondary education. And like if there are bugs and things like this, what is like the first or the reason we published it was to find bugs and get it tested. And now when we find, then we get a lot of complaints that don't you test this test environment before you launch it, because it's so much used. And typically the academic year in a upper secondary school is divided in 5 different periods. And usually you have like exams at the last week of those periods, and we have actually, this week is the second this academic year of this period. So we've had this week 200,000 new answers coming in our system. So I mean, it's really tested. So what does the system consist of? We have student laptops in here. Then we have a server that's connected to the laptops through a local network. We have a spur server that is also connected to the network, and it's just a clone of the server. So if the server breaks down, you can start to use this one. And the students boot their computers from USB sticks, and the server can also be booted from a USB stick. So we have different USB sticks for servers. The problem with this approach is that the USB sticks are not made to carry so much writing load as these servers suffer from. So we have since fall been giving out a virtual machine version of the server. It of course means that we need to trust the host computer, but it's the school's computer, so we trust it to do what it's supposed to do. But this approach is not possible for the student computer, so we are still stuck with the USB sticks. We prepare the USB sticks, pack it in these Styrox boxes, and send them to school. In Abitti, you can just make the sticks yourself. We have the images on the internet. And when they boot from a USB stick, they get the Linux environment, which has all the programs on the exam environment and so forth. The upcoming, for you, the autumn examination, we will prepare for the 7,000 USB sticks and ship it. And it sounds maybe as a lot of logistics, and it is. We are quite good at logistics in my agency, but it's less logistics than the paper logistics, which was really hassle. And it's also much more safer, because there is nothing secret on these sticks. The exams come in an encrypted way in other routes, but the paper, you really had the real exams in the post offices around the country. This is basically what the exam looks like. This is a geography exam. It's just HTML. It's just a web page, and we advise students. And the exam consists of 2 pages. One is where you put the answer, where the questions are, and then there is another page for the material. And we advise students to put the questions on the left and the answers or the material on the right. But they can do whatever they wish, and you can use this to then you click the open question thing and you can write your answer there, or you can open a Office program and do the answer there and copy paste it there in the right box. So we have a lot of software in the system, and the integration of all software into the exam is the same. So we have a button up there, the camera button. When you push it, then you can take a screenshot of your or select the space of the screen that you want to take on your clipboard, and then you just paste it on that. So in mathematics, you can do everything in a calculator program and then just take a screenshot and paste it in the field. Of course, we also have multiple choice. We don't have a lot of multiple choice, or actually language tests were the only one which had multiple choice, but now because of digitalized exams, we will probably have more multiple choice in other exams as well. This is from the English exam. So what do the schools need to provide? They need to provide electricity, because the battery won't last the 6 hours in the exam, and then they need to have the network, then they have to provide servers and the teachers who supervise, then they need to have backup electricity, and then the principal needs to get from our web service the encrypted exam items. After the exams, all the answers are uploaded into our web service, and the first round of assessment is done by the school's own teachers. So there are a couple of thousands of teachers doing preliminary assessment, and then the second round is done by about 400 of our own assessors. Okay, so what's been the general response? This is the matriculation examination is a very big thing in Finland, and always every problem we've had, it's been big news in all major medias, and we have had a lot of frustrated teachers, a lot of anxious students, especially in mathematics. But we also had a lot of support for the reform and the chosen approach, even if it's a little bit of hassle to make all the cables and boot from sticks. But the thing that we really have real computers for use in the exam has been something that the teachers evaluate, because then they can use the same methods in their own environments. And we are still backed by these political forces, which is, of course, important. Now it seems that this reform has been done by us, but this would really not have been possible without the outstanding support and flexibility and patience of teachers that we have gotten during the years, because they are the ones who conduct the operation in all the various locations we have. And the last thing I'll say is a provocation that I asked our higher education. We had a meeting with higher education institutions, and I asked them that you need now to think what to do with this new generation of students who are not longer used to pen and paper exams. What are you going to do? That's it. That's our USB stick factory.
So now we've got some questions or comments that people might like to make for Thomas.
Thank you. Hi, how many students do you have sitting at any one time, and do they all log on at exactly the same time?
So it depends so much on the school. Maybe the biggest schools are maybe 200 or so, and then we have, and it depends on the school, and it depends on the exam as well. So
all the students in Finland who are doing a maths exam all log on at exactly the same time?
yeah, but the network is local, so I mean it's not connected to the internet, so it's just there is no burden like between schools. And usually if there is like let's say 200 students, then they have two networks. So it's quite easy to set up many networks.
So they don't, the students, sorry, I'm loud. The students don't need the internet because they're using the virtual environment off the USB, but the school uses their local network, and is that because they're transmitting the exams? So the principal goes online, gets the encrypted exam off your website. So how do the exams actually get out to the individual students' computers? Is it via that closed school network?
Yeah, so the
You had a flow diet. There we go.
I don't need a picture, but so we have a web server where you can download the exam. Then we also send like decrypting codes to the schools, and the whole ceremony starts with the school principal or teacher or any supervisor opening the decrypting codes which are sealed, and then when you have the decrypted exam in the environment and you have the right key, then it sends the exam to the students. But then there is still like a button that the supervisors need to push before the exam event begins. So there is like everybody is logging in, maybe the first 15 minutes their IDs are checked and they choose the right exam and then they all start at the same time.
So I think we have one over here first.
Thanks. So when after the exam answers are in the system, who does the uploading happen locally, and who does that uploading of the answers so that they can then be marked?
Basically the principal, but he can give authority to others as well to do it.
And that's all done locally, and then all of the results are then transferred back to you, or?
Yeah. So the same way as the exam comes to the local network is you have a USB stick again, but it's not from us. It's just any USB stick that you download the zip file basically into. And from the exam environment, you take it to a computer that's connected to the internet, and you put the file into our system, and then it starts to distribute the answers to the right people.
Hi, this is not a technical question. 6-hour exams, is that for each subject?
We had a working group, ministerial working group, half a year ago that proposed it for our exams, and it was like the public outrage was crazy.
So that each subject is 6 hours?
Yeah, but I mean, I would say that the exams are maybe, the idea is that they are 4 hours, and then there is like 2 hours of you can rest and so I mean it's not like expected that you are typing crazily for 6 hours.
It's like an
But it's the whole day, and you can get meal there, and you can use the toilet, and you can, so it's.
Thomas, can you tell us why maths is the last one to go on computer?
Maths is a very big exam, so I mean the same problems with maths we have basically with chemistry and physics, and we already have those digital. But of course, typing mathematics with a computer is the challenge. So I just show you there. So this is basically what an answer could look like, and if you're a mathematician, this answer doesn't make any sense. But we have like an editor of math there that you can type mathematics with. If you know LaTeX, you can write LaTeX, but it's not expected. But it's like you can, if you find it quicker and you want to learn it, then you can learn it. But then you can also use, for example, GeoGebra or Texas Instrument and Spire to do the answer, and then you just take a screenshot of it and put it in the environment. But mathematics has been like the strongest opposition, and of course there's been it was initially considered the most difficult. That's why it was the last, and it was the most difficult. But now we are confident. I mean, it's not anymore an issue that we wouldn't like digitalize mathematics.
I'm interested in that if you have 6-hour exams or a period of 6-hour exams for your matriculation students, do your university students also have a similar approach? As often, you know, we're looking at how to prepare students for our university exams compared to what they do in Year 12. Is that the same for Finland?
No, we don't have. I don't think the entry exams to universities are 6 hours.
But once they get to university at the end of each semester and they have an exam, would they be as long as the matriculation ones?
No.
Why
We are probably the only exam in our education system that is 6 hours. But it's like a national institution, and it has to be that way. Don't question it.
Thank you.
So Gabby said that they do all of this testing with the students at the beginning, and they have the students sitting there at the help desk. You've obviously got a much larger cohort of exams. Do you have to test them, or do all the students have the same machine? How do you make sure that they'll all boot properly on the day?
Our requirements are that the student comes with a computer and headphones that he or she knows that will boot into, and knows how to boot it into our system. And we require that our upper secondary schools give guidance in doing this. So it's something that we assume that you must be able to do in order to participate. And of course the Abitti system is the place where they practice, but they have like booting camps and there are different local ways of doing it, but basically everybody's, and that's not a problem because they are doing it so much. The problem is those students who you can come and retake the exam after you graduated, and these people maybe haven't, been using the system at all, but they are the schools must provide guidance in doing this, but it's always the student's own responsibility to know what to do.
Okay, one last one.
Sorry. Thanks. Just along with that, in autumn you're going to be sending 7,000 USBs out.
47.
Sorry, how much?
47.
Yeah, okay, so I missed the 4. Probably because I couldn't believe it. but with 47,000, what kind of fail rate on the USB units themselves would you be experiencing?
Maybe a percentage or something like that. It little bit depends.
What, 1%?
Yeah. I shouldn't give a number because I don't know the real number, but there are. And we send more than they need so that they have spare parts, and you can just plug out the USB stick and put a new USB stick, and you can continue from where you just where it doesn't store the answer on the USB stick, but it stores on the server. So when you change computer, you change USB stick, you change whatever, then you can continue from where you were left.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just thank Thomas for coming all the way.